Oh, well, hello there, my little darlings, and welcome back to another episode of Warframes. And today we are taking a quick look at LAVOS Prime. I'm not going to look at the weapons that came with it and all the accessories because I just don't have time, and also I don't have them. So if they're any good and I get them, I'll do another episode. But today I'm going to show you how to get LAVOS Prime, the relics, the buildings, maybe some moddings, and what's unique about him. And this is normal LAVOS that you see on the screen, but at the end of the episode, guess what? That's right, we'll be looking at LAVOS Prime. In the meantime, if this video or any of my other videos tickle your fancy, could you tickle in return my like, comment and or sub button, please? And I'd be very, very grateful. Now, let's get into it. So, as you may or may not know, LAVOS Prime and his accessories were released on the 12th of February, and you can buy it straight up from Warframe, and it's personally, I think, very, very expensive, but if you've got the money, treat yourself. The weapons that come with LAVOS on the release were the Cedo Prime and the Dual Zoran Prime, among other things. Those were the two main weapons, and then you get all the glittery, like the Sindana, the Sigatras, everything. So if you go to the Warframe website, it'll show you all the extra bits, but you can also find them in-game in the market. Let's take a quick look. So to access any of the goodies in the game, just go to your pull screen, choose market, and have a mooch through here. They'll show you the popular stuff, the community events. It's worth checking because sometimes those community events, you'll be able to buy something like a colour palette for 1 credit. So it's always worth popping in and having a quick look. But as you can see, you can just buy it in-game. I don't know if you can actually buy it from the website directly. As long as your account's linked, I think it would work. I've never done that, ever. If I buy anything, it's always through the game market here. And as you can see, it shows you everything to do with LAVOS and LAVOS Prime that you could possibly wish to get your grubby little grommets on if you're willing to splurge the cash and or plat. I don't think you can buy any of the LAVOS Prime packs for platinum. You just get platinum with them. They're kind of good if you've got the money and you're, you know, very generous to yourself. I, however, am not. So I did some grinding and I also did some trading and earned myself some in-game plat. We'll get to that in a moment, but there you go. Go check out the market. There's loads of goodies in there. Oh, it's just, you can get very distracted by that. And I will talk about trade prices in a bit, but what we want to look at now is the relics we're going to need to farm or look for. So I go to my codex and I go to universe, and then I go to relics and weapons, and then I type in LAVOS, and then it shows me all the relics that I'm going to need for which part. I'll make a note of it, and also the nodes are quite important that you might want to go and specifically farm them. That's what people were doing the moment LAVOS Prime dropped. And as you can see, we need an Axii F3, a Neo X1, a Meso A8, and a Lith L5. These are all for LAVOS's main blueprint, the chassis, the neuroptics, and the systems. And on these relics, it will show you in the relic station as well. If you wanted to go there and search LAVOS Prime, it will show you the relics you need, exactly how it is now. But what the game is helpfully doing on the left there is showing you all the nodes that are available to you that you can go and potentially get these relics to drop from by doing the missions there and sticking to the rounds, etc, etc. Now, there are a ton open to me. If they've got question marks, it just means you haven't completed that node yet. That's all. But if you go to these nodes specifically, you may get these relics to drop. Now, I don't do them all. I don't do all of those nodes. There are specific ones I go to. Those being the Hepit, Teshub, Ukko, and Oxomoko in the Void, and I will do exterminates and captures exclusively. I don't do anything else, and I tend to solo them because you can take a really fast Warframe like Titania, Volt, Gauss, whatever, whoever you've got that's speedy, and just blaze through these missions. And I did indeed get some of the relics to drop from these missions, but those are usually the Neo, Meso, or Lith relics. The other place I would go to farm them is Lua Apollo, the disruption there. Now, when I went, I was very pleased because I got in a squad that understood the dynamics of how to get the Axii relic to drop most of the time, and that is, you have 4 rotations. It's A, B, C, and then it's continuation of like C, 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 C. So 4 rounds, A, B, C. When you get to the 3rd round, which is, I believe, B, tell me if I've got this wrong, guys, you fail one of the disruptions. You just fail one. It will force the Axii relic to potentially drop. And then after the 3rd rotation, so you get to the 4th rotation onwards, you fail 2. And it worked. Every round we got an Axii relic to drop. Not always the Axii F3 and the Axii P8, the ones that we need. That's the dual Zoran handle and LAVOS's main blueprint. It didn't always drop, but we mostly got Axii relics to drop. And we were in there for about 20 to 25 minutes, and they were very efficient. It can take a moment to purposely fail one of the disruption things, because it takes a while sometimes for the enemies to get there, but we got there eventually, and we got like 6 of the relevant relics that we needed. That was pretty damn awesome, I felt. Another great way of getting relics under your belt really damn quick when a prime item is released is to save your standing with your various syndicates. So if you are affiliated with Cephalon Suda and or another one, you know, the 6 that are at the various relays that you can access through your orbiter or your base of operations, save up your standing. Don't spend it unless you reach the cap, and then obviously you want to spend it so you can re-reach the cap. But once the prime has been released, you can go in, buy as many relic packs as you want or can afford. They are 20,000 standing each, and you might get a ton of Aya too, which you can then go to Mars and Maru's Bazaar and spend with Vazia for more prime resurgent relics. Treat yourself. And this whole spending standing on relic pack thing extends to places like Cetus. If you go to Old Man Sumpbat on Cetus, he sells relic packs for 20,000 Austrian standing. If you go to Fortuna, Smokefinger does the same, 20,000 for the standing that you earn at Fortuna. There you go. And then if you go to the Necrolisk, it's going to be Otak. He sells relic packs there for 20,000 Necrolisk standing. There are various ways to earn the standing at all of these various places, by the way. And I don't know about the Zarman. Can anybody let me know? I didn't actually check that for the footage. Definitely can't get relic packs at the Sanctum Anatomica. I tried, and I did also try Lloyd here in the basement at the Necrolisk. He doesn't sell them either. But you can also, if you're on Steel Path, you can spend 15 Steel Essence on relic packs with Teshin, also found at relays. So all of these things are good to keep in mind leading up to a prime release. And the other thing you might want to start preparing for leading up to a prime release is saving up your void traces by doing void relic missions, using other void relics like random ones, and earn your void traces. Try to get as high as you can, because you're going to have to radiant a lot of these relics. And the reason it's good to have the void traces to radiant the relics is because in the recruitment chat, in your little tab at the bottom of the screen where you can chat to other players, etc., if you go to recruitment, usually people will be hosting or looking for, so they'll put H and then they'll type the relic name in brackets, and that means they're hosting, and they'll say rad whatever, because they want all of the members of that squad to radiant up the exact same relic. And I'm not saying it increases the chances because it's RNG, but I went in and I immediately got LAVOS Prime blueprints. I got about 4 of them, I'm not going to lie. And it was just so efficient, and so it felt so much better than just randomly doing void missions. It felt kind of like more planned. Unfortunately, they brought us to Steel Path. I didn't realise that's what they'd done. I was like, oh, I wasn't planning on doing Steel Path. But it's fine. And yeah, so if they're saying looking for it, means they're not hosting it. You can just add them to your squad if you wanted to, and then it takes a moment sometimes to get everybody together. Some confusing things can happen in the chat, but if you're patient and it pays off, then it's just so worth it. And as you can see, because we all put a Axie F3 Radianted in, I believe, I don't know what the chances are, but 3 of them dropped. So it was a very good feeling. So good. If you're farming parts quickly, this will be what the people who are farming LAVOS sets and selling them for platinum to the players are doing. Just round and round and round and round they go, like the most efficient little gamers. Now, this is going to bring me on to trading in-game with other players if you can't get everything to drop and you've got some platinum from doing some trading, or you bought yourself some platinum. It's, you know, worth keeping an eye on it. And whenever the prime is dropped, I'm always very curious as to how the market works, because there is a supply and demand issue. So as soon as the supply increases, the demand is still there on the first couple of days, obviously, and it will carry on because there are a lot of people playing this game who want the new prime stuff. But the supply kind of increases, so the prices drop slightly. You've got more people getting in there wanting to make a sale, so they'll keep dropping the price. And it's just keeping an eye on it and making sure you get the right price. Now, I'm talking about Warframe Market. That is not affiliated with Warframe per se, and a lot of people are a bit worried about using external trading things, but you don't actually do the trade over there. It's literally a place where you can go and look at prices and put your own wares up. I'm not advertising, I'm not affiliated with them, it's just what I use, and I've never had any issues with it. I know other people are concerned about other platforms, so let me know what you think in the comments. But if you're worried about any of that, you can just use the in-game trade chat that's literally at the bottom left. and you choose the little trade tab and just keep an eye on it. It's crazy busy when a prime drops, and sometimes people can take advantage of the situation, so it's just good to be aware of what everything is actually truly worth in that moment. So once you've got all your blueprints, no matter how you won them, you're going to have to build them. And the LAVOS Prime systems requires 2 argon crystals and a small amount of cryotic. That's kind of the unusual items there. And each blueprint takes 15,000 credits and 12 hours to cook. And for the chassis, you're going to need 2 nitane extract got from Nightwave and 2 tellurium. Those are the unusual items. And then for the neuroptics, you're going to need 2 neural sensors and some oxium. And once those 3 blueprints have cooked 12 hours later, come back in and put your main blueprint on to cook. That takes 25,000 credits and a further 72 hours. That's 3 whole real days to build. Now, I rushed mine because I got to create videos for 50 plat, and I have done some trading since to earn my plat back. Don't worry about it. We're all good. So I've claimed my LAVOS. Now you can only claim a Warframe if you have a spare Warframe slot. If you don't have one, this is where the helmet comes in useful. You can helmet your original Warframes, not Prime versions, and spare up that Warframe slot, or you can buy one for 20 plat. And there you go. I've got a LAVOS, a sort of config, a loadout anyway, and that was my original LAVOS. He's beautiful. He's got me through quite a few of my higher level mastery tests. He's very tanky. We'll talk about that in a bit. But look at the Prime skin. I actually really like this. I'm not always that fussed on their kind of color schemes, but I really like this, and there are some things you can tweak and take off. So we will talk about his abilities and his lack of need for energy mods. Very intriguing Warframe. He's very much like Hildrin in that sense. But I really just want to look at the skin. Let's just take a moment. Look at it. So these big loop-de-loop things, they're kind of like arterial something or others. They're an accessory. You can remove them, and the little shoulder pads he's got on, which is basically his energy, I believe, you can remove those too. You can remove one or both of them, and you can actually do that on the original LAVOS. I did not know this. Maybe I did and I just forgot. Who knows? And so here I am discovering that you can remove his arterial tubes, but it's in the same place where you might want to put things like bunny ears on. And I don't know if this is where the moustaches appear as well, these sort of extra accessories. But here we are having a close-up view of his, love the Cuban heels. I don't know what's going on with those chunky, the footwear that he's got on, but I love it. I'm here for it. And it looks like he's got a Sindana on, so I don't think a Sindana would ever suit him. Don't think you can remove that in the options, but it's always good to have a look. And then I was just like fiddling around with his shoulder guards and everything, but it's just fascinating, isn't it? And then, dun dun dun, this was my attempt at my fashion frame. I was trying to copy my original sort of with the white, black and like a pink or red vibe, but I ended up with this. And I changed it ever so slightly for the thumbnail because it was just too black, too dark, you know, and I couldn't get the shine right. But in game, he looks fantastic. I really do like this skin, but I'm kind of torn because I kind of really like his original skin as well. I mean, I really did, but I love the snakes on these because they have, I think, a better animation. And here was me discovering that putting a Sindana on him, they're no good. I was wondering if you could remove this as a Sindana, but you can't. I don't believe it's part of his skin, you know. But what do you think of LAVOS Prime's new skin? And if you want a fashion frame show off, come to my Discord. We actually have a fashion frame channel for you to show us. Oh, look at those snakes go. Your tastes. So let's pay attention to his details. Abilities, a passive, energy and universal orbs. By the way, he creates universal orbs as well with one of his other abilities. Gives LAVOS status immunity for 10 seconds. Hold any ability to imbue the next cast with additional elemental damage and status. So in my mind and a lot of other people's minds, this status immunity should basically be a bit like adaptation and also sure-footed, I think. But whether it's because it doesn't trigger constantly or because it doesn't cover that, when I had my Latum Incarnate, for example, that still knocked me off my feet quite a lot, like regularly. And I was picking up energy and universal orb, so I don't know if it makes you sure-footed. Tell me in the comments if you know for a fact, but I'm going to carry on testing it, and I'll probably just want to have to put something like sure-footed in there and waste a mod slot, but we'll see. Anyway, the other thing that's important about LAVOS that confuses a lot of people is this extra elemental damage type, and we're going to go over his abilities and then talk a little bit more about it. You don't have to be a wizard, it's just you have to do a lot of button mashing. Anyway, his first ability, Ophidian Bite. These are his little snakes. They come out and whip everybody into submission. Lash out with a toxic serpentine strike, consuming the target to heal LAVOS. So this ability heals his health. Like, what? and hold this ability to imbue all other abilities with toxin. So if you hold down, like it shows you here, and it shows glows up green, and you pop one of the other abilities, they have their own status elemental damage, but it will add toxin to it as well, so it stacks up. And this is where people get very excited about LAVOS, because you can go crazy with these extra elemental damage types, just a little bit. And the augment mod for Ophidian Bite is Swift Bite. Ophidian Bite augment reduce ability cooldowns by 4 seconds when at least 4 enemies are hit. Ophidian Bite is granted 30% additional ability range. So that's the thing about LAVOS. His abilities are all on a cooldown timer, so you can't keep spamming them. Just because he doesn't require energy to use them, usually, you know, that would be your kind of cooldown in a way, wouldn't it? And I know other abilities have cooldowns anyway, regardless of whether they require energy or not, but it's kind of a way to stop you just keep spamming them. So you have to get kind of clever with how you mod him to reduce the cooldowns, and obviously this augment mod will help you with that. And LAVOS's second ability, Viral Rush. Basically, when you mash it, you dash forward, crashing through enemies and leaving an icy trail of broken vials. Hold to imbue the next ability cast with cold. So this is a cold damage. The first one was Toxin. You can see where this is going. If you spam it, and this doesn't take long to cool down, like 5 seconds, but you can get that shorter. You can keep spamming this and basically freeze the enemies in place. And I think cold damage is also the beginning of armor stripping. Am I wrong there? I'm not 100% clued up on stuff like this, but I find that Viral Rush very useful. And then the third ability, Transmutation Probe. So launch a probe that converts health and energy orbs into universal orbs that provide both at the same time, which is important for his passive, which provides us status immunity for 10 seconds, remember? And ammo pickups into universal ammo pickups, which I believe also includes heavy weapons like your Mausolon. So they often run out of ammo, but I believe LAVOS and possibly Protea can provide you with ammo to restock them. The probe shocks enemies in close proximity. Each electrocuted foe reduces other ability cooldowns by 1.5 seconds. Right? Hold to imbue the next ability with electricity. So this one gives electric damage if you hold it and then pop a different ability. It will then damage the enemies with the electric. Now this one's important because it reduces your cooldown on all your other abilities. So this one usually is the last one that you pop to reduce the cooldown on the next one, which is Catalyze. And catalyst probes erupt from LAVOS and douse combatants in a fiery gel. Damage is doubled for each element afflicting an enemy, right? Hold to imbue the next ability cast with heat. So this is the same for all 4 of his abilities. The first one is a toxin damage, the second one is cold, the third one is electric, and this one is heat. And you can mix and match. You don't just have to have these 4 elements. Oh no. If you choose, for example, toxin and electric, that will cause either, I think it's corrosive or viral. So basically you can adjust your damage types based on your enemies if you know what they are weak to. Right, this is where he gets really clever. And also you have the base element damage of that ability anyway, plus the extra one that you've just added, so they stack. Now there is another augment mod, but it's not mentioned attached to any of these abilities. If you noticed, the first one was the only one that had an augment mod. So Ophidian Bite was the only one that had an augment mod linked. However, I'm going to show you the augment mod right now, and it is Valence Formation. So it's a passive augment. Casting an ability imbued with extra elemental damage applies that element as a 200% bonus to your weapons with guaranteed status for 20 seconds. That is mind-blowingly good, guys. So if you add an extra element, i.e. the one I just mentioned, so say you chose Toxin and Electric and made a new element and then pop your ability, that applies to your weapons. I mean, it's so damn good. Now you can get this mod from New Loca or Red Veil Syndicates for 25,000 standing, and you have to rank up obviously to get them, but you can also purchase it from other players. It's a tradable mod. And if you're looking at the screen wondering what the hell a non-damaging status effect is, like I was, well, let me tell you. It is a status effect applied by a weapon that doesn't directly deal damage on its own, but instead alters an enemy's state in a way that can significantly impact the fight, like reducing their damage output, slowing them down, or making them temporarily vulnerable to other attacks, often considered to be a utility status effect, with impact and puncture being cited most commonly as an example. So it's not a direct damage, unlike heat or corrosive, which deals damage to the enemy over time. This one primarily focuses on altering enemy mechanics, so making them stagger around. That's what impact does, and puncture can reduce their enemy's output for a short duration. So that's what that means. Okay. And this tip here is just saying they're basically bragging about how tough he is to take down, and I agree. The only thing in the simulacrum that took him down was the sentience at level 220 and above, and obviously that just means I wouldn't take him on those kind of missions, but everything else, they barely touched him. And with the Ophidian Bite as well, to bring his health back up, he has a high armor. You could even put like Archon shards in that boost up his armor even further, but I haven't actually put any Archon shards in him yet. I'm going to show you some of my builds that I was working on, the main one that I ended up using, and what I'm going to carry on working on. But when it comes to Archon shards, I'll probably put casting speed like the amber ones in, but because he has elemental damage now, I'm now interested about making the other colors like the purples and the greens for electricity damage and toxin or corrosive stacks. Things like that might be useful. Anybody in the comments, if you've got any amazing Lavos builds, please feel free to talk about them in the comments or come to our Discord. And if I do get his Solo Prime weapons, I might make a sort of updated LAVOS Prime build video using your names and your builds if they are brilliant, which I'm sure they will be. So this is the build I kind of landed on just to sort of help me rank him up. I've got 2 former in as we speak, and I'm about to put a 3rd one in. And at the time of editing, I had just finished ranking him up from the 3rd former, I believe. And I was able, in the middle of that 3rd rank up, 4th, whatever you want to call it, I was able to solo Steel Path bounties on the Sanctum Anatomica and the Holvania Mall, the 1999 content. Steel Path, Tech Rot, and Sanctum enemies. Like, he was absolutely fine. Nothing touched him. And if they did, we Ophidian bit them, and our health went back up. And I've put Arcane Blessing in because Arcane Blessing basically stacks up your health. On health pickup, 24 max health stacks plus 24, and it stacks up to 50 times. Like, it is really superior for bringing your health up high. And then the Arcane Impetus, that's actually quite a new arcane. It's unique status effects from abilities that grant plus 6% ability strength and plus 3% ability efficiency for 20 seconds. And it can be bought from, it's basically from the 1999 content, but you can also trade them from other players if you want that arcane. As you can see, I haven't fully ranked it yet. I'm still in the process of earning a lot of this stuff, and I still found this build to be better than the mecha build that I found on Overframe, and then I had like a basic build when I was just ranking them up and doing all the boring stuff. And here is finally some gameplay footage. We are taking on the Steel Path Exterminate at the Sanctum Anatomica, and I'm solo, and I just wanted to show you first me creating a new element. So I basically held down the button for ability 1, which is Toxin, and then I held down the button for ability 3, which is Electric, and as you can see, it then tells you that I've created, I think that's Corrosive. Then I pop his ability. I didn't hold the button down, I popped Viral Rush, which I think is his 2nd ability, and it adds on the cold procs plus the corrosive, and you can actually see it on the screen popping up everywhere on those enemies. And also, because of the Arcane Blessing, every time I picked up a health thingy, it took my health above by up to 24, and because I was in the middle of ranking up as well, that doesn't actually max out. I think it's over 2,000 health at some point I get, but at this level, when I was still ranking them up, it's like 1,863, as you can see. But that's above and beyond what I've actually got him modded for because of Arcane Blessings magic. Now, you don't have to use this at all because LAVOS is so tanky. He has so much armor. His shields deplete, yes, but it doesn't matter. And bear in mind, we're looking at Steel Path, so a lot of people that might get hold of LAVOS or LAVOS Prime might not be on Steel Path, so you are quids in. You don't need to worry. Okay, I'm just saying. And I haven't like taken him to max, you know, capping the levels and all that on Steel Path. I just don't do that anyway. But anyway, we are now on Steel Path at Tech Rot Exterminate, and I was pressing the LT button, like the zoom in button, whilst on the atomic cycle. And look, his tubercle thingies kept disappearing, and I thought that was quite a good detail. They were taking it off, I guess, to make your view a bit easier when you're on the bike, I guess. I don't know. And I just want you to pay attention to the top right screen because we've got our base health of 1,500 odd. And by the time we get near the end of this mission, it's over 2,000, and it stays that way until we take on the, is it the Acolyte? I call them the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Angst popped in to try to ruin our day and did actually take my health down a little bit, but during the fight, which took a moment because I was solo, I don't tend to have one-shot kind of builds. People brag about one-shotting them. I don't need to, because I'll eventually take them down, and with LAVOS you'll just survive. And as you can see, the Acolyte took my health down to 991, but what I did was I pressed the first ability, which is Ophidian Bite, and my health, I don't know if you saw it, shot straight back up to 2,367 in a heartbeat. In a microsecond that happened, and that's just with Ophidian Bite. And I don't know what else to say apart from LAVOS is tanky AF. If you're one of those people that tends to die a lot, try and get your hands on LAVOS or LAVOS Prime. Start modding. You don't have to worry about energy mods. If you think about efficiency being kind of like the cooldown mechanism, if you can get the cooldowns like down, it's fine, because it's usually the 4th ability that takes the longest to cooldown. And honestly, in the meantime, in between those cooldowns, you're gonna be fine anyway, because those status elemental damages are still kind of impacting the enemies during that time. And like I said, if you pop the 3rd ability last, that will hopefully reduce every time you smack an enemy in the face with the electricity damage, the amount of time it cools you down. And as you can see, I just got knocked off my feet. So I don't know about all the symbols across the top of the screen, because they get bonkers crazy. As you can see, it says things like Valence, Formation, Lethal, Recruitment. There's all sorts of things going on that are linked to your companion and stuff across the top there, the buffs that are happening. The other thing I want to ask is, I don't know if you lot have clocked it, but sometimes my health, and I become invulnerable essentially, and I don't actually know what that's linked to, what's giving me that little boost. It literally happens for a microsecond, but everything goes silver and I'm protected. I'm invulnerable for a moment. So did I miss something when I was reading out the abilities or the passives? Was that one of mine, or is that likely to be from my, I think I've got my Kavat with me, my Adaza maybe with me. So would it be something to do with that? One of the mods on the companions? Anybody? Let me know. So there you go. This was supposed to be another quick episode, but it's not, because I just can't do that. A little in-depth look on how I got LAVOS, where I would go to find my primes, and how I've started modding him. And I welcome any kind of instruction in the comments. Try to keep it succinct and to the point, or do sub-comments, so it's not literally like a PowerPoint presentation of how we should be modding our new prime. Or come to my Discord and put it in there. We do have mod build threads and chats and all sorts of things if you want to come and show off your build, or even get some advice from other people. We've got some modding kind of experts. They understand how things work better than I do. I'm by no means an expert at all, as you can tell from all of my previous videos. I'm just having a blast over here. Don't come for me. Anyway, in the meantime, on the screen you will see the Wolf and Fearless Barbarian tiers. These are my YouTube memberships, and upon the screen are my YouTube members, people who've paid their real life money to get earlier access to my videos, among other things. I'm still working on my YouTube memberships because I'm not really sure. I feel like, you know, I'm not a big enough YouTuber to be like, oh my god, yeah, you can get this from me. Like, I'm not there yet, but any ideas are more than welcome. Anyway, my darlings, what do you think of LAVOS? Please come and tell us in the comments. Please tell us if you were like a LAVOS main for like years and years and years, and now you're like, oh, finally a LAVOS Prime, yay! Or whether you're just like, nah, I don't care, I don't give two tosses really. Let us know. I want to know your feelings, thoughts, and requirements for having fun in Warframe. In the meantime, thank you so much to my YouTube members. Thank you to my Discord fam that's growing over there. Such a welcoming, awesome community of help, not just Warframe, but other games too. In the meantime, thank you so much for being here. I really do hope to see you again in the next one, no matter what it may be. But in the meantime, you take care now, and goodbye.